The unexpected signal emerges. In the quiet void of space, the human colony on Arden Prime had grown used to long, silent nights. Life on the distant planet was simple but filled with hope. The colonists worked hard every day to build a new home far from Earth, believing that their future was bright. They planted gardens under artificial sunlight and built small, sturdy shelters that glowed softly in the dark. Every day was a routine of work, rest, and dreams of exploration. One calm evening, as the twin moons rose over the colony, an unusual sound broke the silence. Deep within the main communication center, a small blinking light signaled an incoming message. The sound was soft at first, a faint peeping that could easily be mistaken for a routine system alert. But as the seconds passed, the beeps grew louder and more insistent. Liam, the colony's technician, was the first to notice the disturbance. He sat at his control panel, sipping his tea, when his eyes caught the blinking light on the screen. "That is strange," he muttered to himself. He leaned closer, his fingers dancing over the keyboard. With careful keystrokes, he brought up the signal log. There, displayed in neat rows of numbers and symbols, was a pattern that did not belong to any known system routine. Across the room, Mara, the colony's communications officer, heard Liam's quiet exclamation. She joined him at the console, her eyes scanning the screen. "This looks like a message," she said slowly, her voice full of wonder. The symbols were unlike anything they had seen before. They did not match any language or code known to the colony. Instead, they appeared as a series of pulses and gaps, almost musical in their rhythm. The colony leader, Captain Rowan, was quickly summoned to the control center. He was a calm and steady man, known for his clear thinking under pressure. When he saw the signal, his face turned serious. "We must take this very seriously," he declared. "This signal is not random. It is a call for attention." Captain Rowan ordered his team to work quickly to analyze the message. They checked all systems to ensure that there was no error or glitch in the network. The engineers verified that the colony's equipment was functioning normally, and the security team scanned for any signs of interference. All tests confirmed that the signal was genuine and not a result of a malfunction. Hours passed as the team worked together to decode the strange message. They used every tool available, comparing the sequence with old records and known patterns from past communications. Still, the origin and meaning of the message remained a mystery. The colonists felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. In the silence of space, an unknown message could mean many things. It could be a sign of life, a warning, or even an invitation. As the night deepened, the colony gathered in the main hall. Captain Rowan addressed everyone with clear and calm words. "We have received a signal. It is not like anything we have ever seen. We do not know where it comes from or what it means, but it is a call that we must answer with caution and bravery." His words hung in the air, stirring a sense of shared destiny among the colonists. In the days that followed, the signal continued to pulse from the communication center. The team worked around the clock, trying to understand its rhythm and meaning. Some believed it was a greeting from another world. Others feared it might be a warning from a hostile power. The unknown nature of the signal created a feeling of suspense and unease that spread through the colony like a quiet storm. Among the colonists, rumors began to spread. Some said that the signal was a test, a challenge sent by the universe to see if humanity was ready to step up and claim its place among the stars. Others whispered of ancient stories, long-forgotten legends of empires that spanned the galaxy and how they had once tried to control every part of space. Now, with this mysterious message, those old fears began to resurface. Yet, despite the uncertainty, there was also hope. The message had given the colony a purpose beyond survival. It was a call to explore, to reach out to the unknown, and to prove that humanity could stand strong in the face of cosmic mystery. The engineers, scientists, and even the farmers of Arden Prime felt a spark of courage. They knew that if they could decode this message, They might find answers that would change their world forever. Liam and Mara stayed up many nights, poring over the data and searching for a clue in the steady pulses of the signal. They were determined to unlock its secret. Every new discovery, no matter how small, added a piece to the puzzle. Each breakthrough built more excitement in the hearts of the colonists, making them feel as though they were part of something much bigger than themselves. Liam and Mara stayed up many nights, poring over the data and searching for a clue in the steady pulses of the signal. They were determined to unlock its secret. Every new discovery, no matter how small, added a piece to the puzzle. Each breakthrough built more excitement in the hearts of the colonists, making them feel as though they were part of something much bigger than themselves. By the end of this long period of study, one thing was clear: the unexpected signal was a sign of change. It was a beacon that promised new challenges, new adventures, and the possibility of great rewards. Though its true message was still hidden, the signal had already begun to reshape the thoughts and dreams of everyone in the colony. In that moment, the quiet life on Ardent Prime was transformed. The call of the unknown had been heard, and humanity's fleet was soon to be unleashed. And so, with hearts full of both fear and hope, the colonists prepared themselves for what would come next, an adventure that would test their courage and change the course of their future forever. Gathering the fleet. After the mysterious signal had been studied for days, the colony knew that this was not a simple message. It was a call to action, a call to prepare for what was to come. The leaders of Ardent Prime held an urgent meeting. Captain Rowan, with a firm but calm voice, explained to his people, "This signal tells us that we are not alone. It is a sign that we must be ready, for something big is on the horizon." His words stirred a mix of fear and hope in everyone. The colonists quickly understood that to answer this call, they would need more than just a few small shuttles and makeshift defenses. They needed a fleet, a strong, united armada that could travel the stars and stand against any threat. Plans were made to build and gather a fleet of spacecraft, each designed with care and powered by the hope of humanity. The colony's engineers, technicians, and even the farmers joined forces, each contributing in their own way to the monumental task. Liam and Mara, who had spent many nights decoding the signal, became the advisors for the new project. They knew that the fleet had to be built quickly but carefully. The engineers drafted blueprints for fast, agile ships that could defend the colony and explore the unknown. They'd worked long hours in the colony's workshop, testing engines and checking every circuit. The clanking of metal and the hum of machines became the new sound of hope throughout Ardent Prime. Meanwhile, Captain Rowan reached out to other human settlements. He sent messages to nearby colonies, inviting them to join forces. One by one, representatives from different worlds responded. Each message brought stories of similar signals and growing fears of a galactic threat. The idea of gathering a united fleet spread like wildfire, and soon there were plans for convoys and combined fleets that would link the far corners of human space. The fleet was not built only with new ships. Many old spacecraft, once used for simple trade or exploration, were refurbished and strengthened. These ships were given new armor, modern engines, and improved weapons. In every workshop and hangar, human hands labored to turn ordinary vessels into instruments of hope and resistance. Workers painted ships in bold colors and emblazoned them with the human crest, a symbol of unity and determination. As the fleet took shape, so did the training of the pilots and crew. Simple training programs were set up on every settlement. Young men and women, along with seasoned veterans, practiced maneuvers in simulation rooms and open space fields. They learned how to work as one unit, their movements a careful dance in the vacuum of space. In training sessions, the instructors reminded everyone that unity was the key to survival. Every person, no matter how small their role, was part of a much larger plan. During these busy days, Captain Rowan walked among his people. He listened to their hopes and fears, and he shared his own vision of a united humanity that could stand strong against any challenge. He visited the workshops where engineers fine-tuned the engines and the training halls where pilots practiced dogfights in the simulated void. His presence boosted the morale of the people. They knew that their leader was with them, ready to face the unknown together. The preparations were not without challenges. Supplies had to be rationed, and every resource was stretched thin. But in every difficulty, the colonists found strength in their shared purpose. The promise of the unknown and the possibility of a great future drove them forward. Every finished ship, every successful test flight, was a victory against the fear of the unknown. The gathering of the fleet was not just about building ships. It was about building trust among scattered human communities. Representatives from various colonies met in secret rendezvous points, sharing plans and ideas. They exchanged parts, skills, and even stories of past hardships, all of which reminded them that unity was their greatest weapon. These meetings were filled with both tension and laughter, as people from different worlds learned to work together and form a single, unified force. As the fleet began to form, messages of support started coming in from far beyond human space. Some of these messages were brief and simple, while others were long declarations of hope and determination. The colonists took each message as a sign that they were not isolated, that humanity was ready to step forward into a new era. With every added ship and every trained pilot, the fleet grew larger and stronger. In the final days before the fleet's departure, the mood in Ardent Prime was a blend of anticipation and resolve. The colony held a grand assembly where every citizen gathered to witness the launch of the first wave of ships. There was a mix of excitement and solemnity in the air, as everyone understood that the future was about to change. Captain Rowan addressed the crowd one last time, his voice steady and inspiring. Today, we begin a journey not just for our colony, but for all of humanity. We set out to explore, defend, and unite. Our fleet is our promise to the stars that we will not be pushed aside. Thus, under a sky filled with both distant stars and the promise of new horizons, humanity's fleet was gathered. With every ship, every crew, and every hopeful heart, they prepared to answer the call of the mysterious signal. The silent spaces of the galaxy were now filled with the humming of engines and the strong pulse of a united human spirit, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The Empire's overconfidence. Far beyond the reaches of Ardent Prime, the mighty Galactic Empire floated in the darkness of space. The Empire had long ruled many worlds, and its vast armada was famous for its power and strength. In the great command halls of the Imperial starship, high-ranking officers and the Emperor's trusted advisors gathered. They spoke with a tone of pride, confident that nothing could ever shake the Empire's control. General Varric, a stern man with decades of experience in battle, led the discussion. He reviewed reports from distant outposts, many of which told stories of strange signals and unexplainable activity on the borders of the Empire. But instead of worry, a smile of arrogance played on his lips. "These messages come from a minor colony," he said. "They are nothing more than a small flicker in the vast darkness of our power." His voice echoed off the polished metal walls of the command hall, filling the room with confidence. In another chamber, high above the Empire's capital, the Emperor's council met in a lavish room. Ornate decorations and intricate designs decorated the walls, symbols of the Empire's long and unbroken rule. The council members, dressed in fine uniforms and cloaks, discussed the reports with an air of indifference. They believed that the Empire was invincible, that no one could stand against its might. "Let them send their small fleet," one counselor sneered. "Our legions are countless, our technology is unmatched, and our will is unbreakable." Across the Empire's many systems, preparations were already underway for celebrations and routine military drills. The Empire had grown so used to its power that the news of a distant human colony's mysterious signal was seen as little more than a curiosity. Officers on starbases, far from the bustling centers of power, shrugged off the reports as unimportant. They had fought many battles before and were sure that the Empire would always win. In their eyes, humanity was weak and unworthy of serious attention. In the Imperial archives, ancient records told stories of past rebellions and the rise of many small, insignificant groups. Yet each time, the Empire had crushed these challenges with ease. The records, carefully preserved and proudly displayed, served as a reminder that the Empire had never been defeated. This history of victories made the current leaders even more overconfident. They did not think twice about the possibility that the small human colony might have any real power. In their minds, the Empire was eternal. At the same time, in the distant reaches of space, whispers began to stir among the Empire's lower officers. Some recalled that the mysterious signal had a strange, almost musical quality to it, something that did not belong to a typical distress call. Yet when these thoughts were shared, they were quickly silenced by senior officers who reminded everyone of the Empire's superiority. "Do not worry about these small noises," they said. "Focus on the duties that prove our strength." The whispers faded into silence as fear of speaking out against the Empire's confidence took hold. Back at the Imperial starship, General Varric reviewed a large star map spread out on a glowing table. Lines crisscrossed the map, marking the territories under the Empire's control. He pointed at a distant region, where the human colony was located, and laughed. "Look at this tiny dot," he said. "It dares to send out a signal. It is almost like a child shouting in a room full of grown men. How can something so small be a threat?" His words, though meant to mock, also deepened the sense of overconfidence among his officers. In training rooms across the Empire, young cadets practiced drills and maneuvers with strict discipline. They were taught that the Empire was supreme, and that every challenge, no matter how small, would be easily overcome by the might of the Imperial fleet. Their instructors used stories of past victories as lessons in strength and unity. The cadets' eyes shone with pride as they imagined themselves one day joining the ranks of the great Imperial warriors. The belief that the Empire was unstoppable was instilled in every part of their training. Even as the human fleet gathered in secret and prepared for their own response, the Empire continued to bask in its own glory. Festivities were planned to honor the Empire's achievements, and military parades were organized to showcase its technological marvels. The people of the Empire went about their lives with the assurance that their government was all-powerful and all-knowing. Little did they suspect that this overconfidence would soon be their undoing. In the quiet moments of the night, as the stars shimmered silently outside the enormous windows of the Imperial starship, a few high-ranking officers stared into the darkness. Some felt a small, nagging doubt about the reports from the distant colony, but these doubts were quickly dismissed as the mind played tricks in the quiet. They trusted the Empire's past victories and the wisdom of their superiors, believing that no matter what signals came from the edges of space, the Empire would always have the upper hand. Thus, the stage was set. The Empire, secure in its power and blinded by overconfidence, did not see the growing determination of humanity's fleet. The pride of the Empire, which had built a legacy of strength, was about to meet a challenge unlike any it had faced before. A challenge that would force it to confront the unexpected power rising from a tiny human colony. And in the vast expanse of space, the silence before the storm grew ever deeper. The battle begins. The day had finally come when humanity's fleet left the safe confines of Arden Prime. The newly built ships, with their bright hulls and proud human symbols, lined up at the colony's launch bay. A mix of excitement and fear filled the air as pilots took their seats and crew members prepared their stations. Captain Rowan stood on the observation deck, his eyes fixed on the stars. He knew that this day would test every bit of courage and hope in their hearts. In the deep silence of space, the human fleet moved as one. The ships advanced in a tight formation, each vessel relying on the strength and skill of its crew. Liam and Mara, now trusted advisors, worked in the control center to keep the fleet in contact and track the movement of distant objects. Their fingers moved quickly over glowing screens as they sent updates to every captain in the fleet. Every beep and flash on the monitor reminded them that time was short. Not far away, the mighty Imperial fleet was already on alert. The overconfident officers, who had laughed at the human colony's efforts, now saw the approaching armada with growing concern. The Empire's warships, huge and dark, turned slowly in space as their captains tried to locate the human vessels. But the vastness of space made it difficult to see the small, nimble ships of the human fleet. Still, the Empire's sensors began to pick up unusual activity, and soon the first signs of a battle could be seen. The silence was broken by the distant sound of alarms and the steady hum of engines as the two forces drew closer. The human fleet, driven by determination, did not waver. Their ships zigzagged and weaved through the stars, moving with purpose. They were not just machines, but symbols of a united spirit, each ship carrying the dreams of a new era. The pilots remembered every lesson from training, every word of encouragement from their leaders, and they met the challenge with calm focus. Then, without warning, the first shots were fired. Laser beams and energy bolts streaked across the darkness, lighting up the void like flashes of lightning. The human ships moved quickly to dodge the powerful blasts from the Empire's warships. Explosions echoed softly in the emptiness as parts of a large Imperial ship broke away, drifting silently into space. Every explosion sent a ripple of shock through the human fleet, but it also steeled their resolve. Captain Rohan's voice came through the fleet's communication system, steady and clear. Hold formation, protect each other, and keep moving forward. His words reached every ship, and the human pilots responded by tightening their lines and coordinating their maneuvers. Liam and Mara worked with urgency, relaying enemy positions and sharing updates on damage and repairs. The fleet moved like a well-oiled machine, every ship playing its part in the unfolding battle. On the bridge of one small but agile ship, a young pilot named Aria felt her heart pounding as she steered through a barrage of enemy fire. She remembered the long hours of training, the stories of bravery that Captain Rohan had told, and the promise of a better future. With careful precision, Aria maneuvered her ship into a narrow gap between two larger Imperial vessels. Her quick thinking allowed her to deliver a sharp, accurate shot that hit one of the enemy's weaker points. In that moment, Aria felt not only the thrill of combat, but also the weight of her responsibility to protect her people. Meanwhile, on the flagship of the human fleet, the commanders watched the battle unfold on giant screens. They saw that the Empire's forces were strong, but their strategy was rigid and slow. The human fleet, on the other hand, used speed and clever tactics. The commanders quickly changed plans, ordering smaller groups to flank the enemy and target the gaps in their defenses. The battle was becoming a dance of strategy and survival, a test of wits as much as of firepower. The clash between the two sides spread across space like a ripple. Some Imperial ships broke away to pursue isolated human vessels, while others concentrated their fire on the heart of the human formation. In each encounter, human pilots showed great courage, dodging enemy fire and returning their shots with skill. The Empire's overconfidence began to show cracks as they struggled to adapt to the human fleet's flexible and unpredictable moves. As the battle raged on, the silence of space was filled with flashes of light, distant explosions, and the steady hum of engines. Both sides suffered losses, but the human fleet's spirit never wavered. Every fallen ship was met with a promise to fight harder, to honor the sacrifice with a stronger push forward. The battle was far from over, and each moment was a test of resolve for both the humans and the Empire. In that vast expanse, where the dark void of space met the brilliant glow of energy weapons, the first true clash of wills had begun. Humanity had taken its first bold step into the unknown, and in that decisive moment, every pilot, every crew member, and every citizen back on Arden Prime knew that their future depended on the courage shown in this very battle. The outcome was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the human spirit was ready to shine, even in the darkest of times. A twist of fate. In the heat of the battle, both sides fought with all their strength. The human fleet dodged laser fire and energy bolts, while the Empire's ships continued to press forward with their heavy weapons. Amid the chaos, a sudden, strange event unfolded that no one had expected. As Aria, the young pilot, maneuvered her ship through a cloud of enemy fire, a bright flash of light burst from behind one of the larger Imperial vessels. The light was not like any explosion or weapon fire seen before. It was a shimmering, pulsating glow that filled the space around it. For a moment, time seemed to slow down. The human pilots felt a mix of fear and wonder. They paused, watching as the light grew larger and brighter. Liam and Mara, working in the control center, were the first to pick up on the strange phenomenon. Their screens began to show readings that they had never seen before. "Captain Rowan," Mara called out urgently, "there is something happening near the enemy line. The sensors are picking up a burst of energy that doesn't match any weapon we know." Captain Rowan's face grew serious as he studied the data. He ordered everyone to hold their positions and observe. In that quiet moment, the battle slowed and all eyes turned toward the mysterious glow. On the Imperial side, confusion reigned among the officers. General Varric and his crew exchanged puzzled glances as the brilliant light washed over their ships. The normally confident officers hesitated, unsure how to react to a force they did not understand. For the first time, the Empire's overconfidence was shaken. The mysterious energy did not harm their ships, but it disrupted their sensors and communication systems, creating a momentary lull in their attack. The source of the light soon became clear. Emerging from the heart of the brilliant glow was a small, sleek vessel that had not been seen before. It was unlike any ship known to the Empire or even to the human fleet. The vessel glided silently into the battlefield, its surface reflecting the chaotic dance of laser fire and explosions around it. The ship moved with a grace and precision that made it seem almost alive. Aria, watching from her cockpit, felt a chill run down her spine. Was this a new enemy or a sign from an unknown ally? The unexpected vessel's appearance raised more questions than answers. Captain Rowan quickly ordered a cautious approach. "Hold your fire," he instructed through the comms. "We do not know its intent. Maintain formation and observe." For several tense minutes, the mysterious vessel floated between the human fleet and the Imperial armada. Its silent presence forced both sides to pause. In the control center, Liam's hands trembled slightly as he studied the readings. "It seems to be scanning both sides," he reported, his voice low. Mara nodded, adding, "This could be a new technology or a hidden force that neither side is aware of." The Imperial ships, now distracted by the strange visitor, began to lose their tight formation. General Varric tried to regain control, ordering his captains to refocus their attacks, but the mysterious vessel had already changed the momentum of the battle. The human fleet, sensing an opportunity, moved carefully closer to the ship. They hoped that it might be on their side, or at least not hostile. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the vessel emitted another burst of energy. This time, the burst spread out like ripples on a pond, washing over nearby ships. To everyone's amazement, several Imperial vessels suddenly lost power. Their engines sputtered, and some lights went dark as the ships were forced into an uncontrollable drift. The human fleet cheered softly, realizing that fate had tilted the balance. The mysterious vessel was disabling the Empire's warships without a single shot fired. Captain Rohan's voice filled the comms once again. "Maintain your positions and watch for further signals. We must learn what is happening." He turned to Liam and Mara, who were busy trying to decode the energy readings. Their work was difficult, but they sensed that the energy burst was not random. It was controlled and deliberate. As the minutes passed, the mysterious vessel moved away slowly, leaving behind a field of disabled Imperial ships. The silence that followed was heavy with uncertainty. Both sides took a moment to regroup. For the humans, the twist of fate brought renewed hope and a chance to press on. For the Empire, it was a blow to their pride and a reminder that there were forces in the galaxy they did not yet understand. In the calm after the burst, the human pilots began to move in, offering aid to any ship that might be in danger. The disabled Imperial ships drifted helplessly, their weapons offline, and their crews scrambling to understand the sudden change. General Varick's face, usually so stern, now showed worry. He ordered a retreat, uncertain how to face an enemy that could stop an entire fleet with a single, mysterious burst of energy. The twist of fate had shifted the battle in an instant. What had started as a fierce exchange of fire was now a moment of both triumph and deep mystery. The human fleet found a new surge of courage, inspired by the unknown force that had intervened on their behalf. Yet, as they gathered their strength, they also realized that this was only the beginning. Questions about the mysterious vessel, its origin, and its purpose loomed large in everyone's mind. In that decisive moment, the battle was no longer just about firepower or tactics. It had become a test of destiny, where an unexpected twist brought both hope and uncertainty. Humanity's fight for survival had taken an unforeseen turn, and now the future of the conflict depended on unraveling the mystery of the strange vessel. With renewed determination, the human fleet braced itself for the next move, ready to face whatever the galaxy would reveal next. The Empire's downfall. The mysterious burst of energy had changed the course of the battle. With several Imperial ships disabled and drifting in space, the once confident Empire now found itself on the defensive. In the control center of the human fleet, Captain Rowan and his officers watched as the enemy struggled to regroup. The air was thick with anticipation and the hope of victory. General Varick, now forced to face the unexpected power, barked orders in a desperate tone. He tried to rally his forces, calling for counterattacks and emergency maneuvers. But his commands came too late. The disabled ships slowed down the Empire's advance and left gaps in their formation. The Imperial crews worked frantically to restore power and re-establish order, but the confusion had spread quickly through their ranks. Meanwhile, the human fleet seized the moment. The brave pilots, inspired by the unknown ally's intervention, moved with careful precision. They advanced into the weakened enemy lines, their ships darting in and out like quick flashes of light. Arya, still at the forefront of the action, led a small group of fighters into a daring flanking maneuver. With every carefully aimed shot, they targeted the critical systems of the Imperial ships, aiming to shut them down for good. Liam and Mara in the control center continued to monitor the battle with wide eyes. "We are making progress," Mara said, her voice steady despite the tension. Liam nodded and added, "The Empire's fleet is breaking apart. Our strategy is working." Their data showed that more Imperial ships were beginning to fall back, unable to withstand the agile tactics of the human forces. Back on the flagship, Captain Rowan addressed his fleet with a clear and firm voice. "Today, we show that hope and unity can overcome even the greatest force. Stay sharp and work together. Our victory is within reach." His words strengthened the resolve of every person in the fleet, filling them with a sense of pride and determination. As the human fighters pushed forward, the Empire's forces became increasingly disorganized. Imperial officers struggled to coordinate a counterattack. The disabled ships, unable to rejoin the fight quickly, floated as silent warnings of the Empire's vulnerability. One by one, the Imperial vessels that had once seemed invincible now fell silent or retreated into the dark expanse of space. The tide of battle turned more sharply when the mysterious vessel that had appeared earlier made one final pass. It hovered near the center of the Imperial formation and released another pulse of energy. This pulse was stronger and more focused than before, and it swept over the remaining active Imperial ships. In an instant, several more ships lost power, their engines failing and weapons falling silent. The once mighty armada was now a shadow of its former self. For the first time, the people of the Empire saw their power crumble. General Varick's face, usually so composed, twisted with anger and disbelief. "How can this be?" he shouted into the comm system. His voice was lost in the chaos of retreating ships and fading alarms. The Empire's confidence had been shattered, and panic began to spread among the ranks. The human fleet, in contrast, moved steadily forward, taking control of the space around them. With the Imperial fleet in disarray, The human commanders ordered a full advance. Ships that had been holding back now joined the main force, surrounding the enemy's remaining vessels. Captain Rohan's strategy was simple: disarm, disable, and force the Empire into surrender. His orders were met with a steady rhythm of movement and firepower. Every successful hit on the enemy not only reduced their strength, but also lifted the spirits of the human fighters. The battle continued for several more tense minutes, each second marking the Empire's decline. One by one, the remaining Imperial ships began to retreat. Their captains, realizing that further resistance was futile, ordered an organized withdrawal back to the heart of the Empire's territory. The human fleet followed at a careful distance, ensuring that every ship left behind was either disabled or in a state that prevented immediate combat. As the final Imperial vessel limped away, the human fleet paused. The silence that filled space was a powerful reminder of what had just happened. The Empire, once a symbol of unstoppable might, was now in retreat. The downfall of the Empire was not a result of a single act of violence, but a series of calculated moves driven by human courage, unity, and the unexpected intervention of a mysterious force. In the aftermath, Captain Rohan and his team began to secure the battlefield. They offered assistance to any Imperial crews who wished to surrender peacefully, and they worked quickly to help their own damaged ships. The victory was bittersweet. While the human fleet celebrated their success, questions remained about the mysterious vessel that had turned the tide. Who had sent it? Was it an ancient ally of humanity, or a new power waiting in the shadows? Yet, despite the lingering mysteries, one truth was clear: the Empire's downfall marked a new chapter in human history. The united efforts of a small colony had sparked a movement that would soon reshape the galaxy. In the quiet aftermath of battle, with stars twinkling in the endless sky, the people of humanity knew that their fight was far from over. But they also knew that they had proven a powerful lesson, that even the greatest forces could be brought down by hope, determination, and the courage to act in the face of overwhelming odds. The Empire's ultimate downfall. In the final moments of the fierce battle, the human fleet pressed their advantage with unwavering determination. The once mighty Imperial vessels now struggled to regain power as their formations fell apart. Captain Rohan's voice rang out across the comms, steady and filled with resolve. "This is our moment. Press on and secure our future." His call united every ship, every pilot, and every crew member, pushing them to give their all for the cause of humanity. The human fighters moved as one, their ships weaving through the chaos of disabled enemy vessels. In every cockpit, the eyes of brave pilots shone with the light of hope and defiance. Aria, still at the front of the action, led a daring charge. Her ship, nimble and agile, darted between the remnants of the Imperial fleet. With every burst of laser fire, she aimed at the critical systems of the enemy ships, ensuring they could not recover. Her actions inspired others, and soon waves of human fighters joined her charge. Amid the fray, the mysterious vessel that had turned the tide reappeared one last time. It floated silently near the center of the remaining Imperial fleet. With a final, controlled pulse of energy, it sent a surge of power through the enemy ships. One by one, the Imperial vessels shuddered and went dark. The mighty warships that had once enforced the Empire's rule were now silent relics drifting in the vast darkness of space. General Varric, the proud commander of the Imperial fleet, watched in disbelief from his flagship. His confident voice, once full of scorn and assurance, now trembled with uncertainty. "Retreat. Fall back," he ordered, but it was too late. The Empire's forces, overwhelmed and demoralized, began a hasty retreat. Their once organized armada had crumbled under the weight of human ingenuity and courage. On the human side, the cheers of victory mingled with the solemn remembrance of lost comrades. Captain Rohan gathered his officers in the control center, where Liam and Mara continued to monitor the battlefield with focused determination. "Today, we have shown that unity and hope can overcome even the greatest of tyrannies," he declared. His words were simple yet powerful, a promise to every human that the future was now in their hands. As the final Imperial ship disappeared into the dark distance, the human fleet took a moment to steady themselves. The silence that followed was filled with the soft hum of engines and the steady rhythm of relief breaths. Across the fleet, injured ships were repaired, and crews tended to one another. Even in victory, there was an understanding that the battle had come at a heavy cost. Yet every scar, every sacrifice, was a step toward a new dawn. In the aftermath of the conflict, news of the Empire's downfall spread quickly among the human settlements. Across distant worlds and humble colonies, people gathered to celebrate the victory. The story of a small, determined colony rising against an unstoppable force became a legend, a tale of hope that would inspire future generations. Songs were sung and stories were told, all echoing the same message: that humanity, united and brave, could change the course of history. Captain Rowan, standing on the deck of his flagship, looked out into the endless sea of stars. He knew that the victory was not the end, but the beginning of a new era. The mysterious vessel that had aided them remained an enigma, its origins unknown and its purpose unclear. Yet it had given humanity the strength to rise against oppression. With the Empire in retreat, the galaxy was now open to possibilities, a chance for human exploration, growth, and unity. In the weeks that followed, representatives from various colonies met to forge a new alliance. Plans were made to rebuild and expand the fleet, to ensure that the sacrifice of so many would never be forgotten. The alliance was based on simple ideals: freedom, courage, and the belief that every voice mattered. Together, they vowed to create a future where the lessons of the past would guide them toward a brighter tomorrow. Even as celebrations continued, Captain Rowan kept a vigilant watch. He knew that while the Empire had been defeated, the galaxy still held many secrets and challenges. The mysterious force that had turned the tide might reappear, and other threats could arise from the depths of space. But with the lessons learned from this conflict, humanity was ready. Their spirit, now emboldened by victory, was prepared to face whatever lay ahead. And so, under a sky filled with twinkling stars and the promise of new beginnings, the human fleet sailed into the future. The downfall of the Empire was not merely an end, but a rebirth, a testament to the strength of a united people who dared to dream and fight for their freedom. In that final, shining moment, the legacy of humanity was sealed, and the galaxy would never be the same again.